Thank you. Let me go to a share screen. See if I can to my screen.
Okay.
There we go. All right. So welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning. Or this afternoon already. We respectfully acknowledge that statewide we are on the ancestral homelands of the indigenous nations that have inhabited these lands since time immemorial, including the Akshan, Akamel, Fort Mojave, Gila River, Havasupai, Hopi, Wallapai, Navajo, Paiute, Yaqui, and Yavapai peoples. Their traditional care and honoring of these lands allow us to be here today. We invite you to come. Oh, it's not March 26th. I'm sorry. I'm next month. When we will have special guest speakers. The 1 in 10 group is the consummate resource for our LGBTQ population, and they are literally saving lives daily. The young people who need resources, who need support, and adults as well. So that'll be a fascinating presentation. We'll have Tamika Wooten, who is running for county attorney, and Greg Freeman, who is running for county assessor. So let me begin with some not so fun information for you. The Arizona State House passed HB 2677, which repeals the 1864 total abortion ban. The Senate still has to work on that. However, the 1864 abortion law takes effect June 25th. It doesn't matter what the state house does between now and then. It's still going to take effect on June 25th, and it contains no exceptions for rape or incest, and would ban abortions for families that learn later on in pregnancy that a fetus is not viable. Attorney General Chris Mays issued her long-awaited indictments of 10 Republicans who tried to throw Arizona's 2020 electoral votes to Trump. Initial court appearances are scheduled for Tuesday, May 21st, and the 10 defendants face a potential 40 years in prison if they're convinced, and at least one serves in the state legislature now. Thanks to our state legislatures granting over 24 billion, that's with a B, for tax breaks and increasing private school vouchers, vital state programs are having to cut even more from the restrained budgets. Basic state aid for public education is already underfunded by billions. Again, that's with a B. Access, our state's Medicaid program, recently kicked 150,000 people off healthcare. And corrections is violating prisoners' constitutional rights already with inadequate care. State law enforcement, which is understaffed and continuing to leave officers, must cut even more. So our budget is failing, and it is failing the public. For more information about what's going on now at the state legislature and what it means for you and your daily lives, go to Civic Engagement Beyond Voting. That's CEBV.us, and you'll get all the information you need. It's also a very good time to get involved with your local LD. There are 30 legislative districts. You can go on the Secretary of State's website and find out which LD you're in and how to get a hold of them. There are LDs like LD 12, and my chair, Melissa Garza, is on right now. It's a fabulous LD. And no matter what amount of time you have, no matter what your skill set is, there's something that you can do to help get the right people, excuse me, the correct people involved and elected this fall. You can also call the Maricopa County Democratic Party or the Arizona Democratic Party. Get involved. And now we have special notes from our chair, Linda Ambrose. You're muted, Linda.
Sorry, I had a call earlier, and I seem to be a little sideways. So if I guess, I don't know what the camera's doing. Okay, I hope I don't make you all dizzy. Good morning, and good day to each of you. Welcome to our Blue Tuesdays Forum. Today I'm looking back on what an interesting April we have just experienced and witnessed. From celebrating Earth Day and month, which drew more attention to our world's fragility with its dramatic and devastating climate changes, while hearing some good news about new water conservation actions and new methods of plastic recycling and reuse, and other new ideas of awareness to what must be done was happening. And then we skipped all the way to last week's beginning of the Trump criminal trial, which is set to prove the former president's illegal hush money was spent to cover up the disgraced president's sexual infidelities with porn stars. Now, with all that and more in between, we have witnessed the good, the bad, and the ugly. As Victoria Kozlerick, chair of LB3, eloquently described, it was as though we were drinking from a higher fire hose news cycle that turned into a tsunami. To touch on just a few more occurrences of what we've been witnessing, they do demonstrate that however slow the wheels of justice may move, they do move. For examples, the Arizona grand jury, along with our very own Arizona Attorney General, Chris Mays, indicted the fake electors and their enablers with 9 felony charges for lying about our election results and falsely representing themselves as duly elected by their Republican Party. Another example of good news justice was the moment our Democrats in our Arizona state legislature were joined by several Republicans to repeal the archaic and abhorrent 1864 Arizona ban on abortions, even in cases of rape and incest. Though the state Senate has yet to pass that repeal, the Republican majority is thin and weak. Before that vote, it should be noted that on the anti-rights view, the Arizona Supreme Court Republican judges had passed the reinstatement of that Arizona 1864 abortion ban. Yet, their decision seems to have given energy to even more men, and especially women, becoming more impassioned to sign the petition putting the right to abortion initiative on our 2024 election ballots, and to hopefully come out in droves to vote for the initiative and for Democrats up and down the ballot. Another positive example of good outcome is that of the 62 judges up for retention in 2024, 2 of those Republican justices, by voting for the reinstatement of that 1864 ban, have made it public that they do not represent the majority of Arizona voters and should not be retained. Their names are Catherine King and Clint Bullock. The other 2 Republicans who voted with them are not up for retention votes yet, so I will not confuse you with their names, but please, when you are voting in our 2024 election, remember to vote no on Justices King and Justice Bullock. Another great example of slowly moving justice is that last week Trump had to be in New York in a small courtroom for 4 days in the beginning of his criminal trial. Every day after the trial, he was afforded the press's camera's attention, and every day he sounded like a little petulant 6-year-old, whining about how freezing cold he was and how unfair he was being treated by having to be in court at all. I'm not even a little bit sorry for him and feel this might be the juicy revenge in itself for his evil doings as President of our United States. Also hopeful signs of justice occurring are the many times the federal and state courts and their judges have been and continue to reject Trump's attempts to either cancel or postpone different court proceedings he is finally being subjected to. However, there was the one iffy and concerning day last week when our Supreme Court justices heard the beginning arguments in the case of a president's immunity. Some of the confusing rhetoric by some of the judges made many of us pause and wonder, could these far-right justices really come out in favor of Trump's argument that a president is immune from the laws of the land? As American citizens, we must closely now watch how the Supreme Court's judges decide. Will they rule with fidelity to the belief and law that no one is above the law? If they do not, mayhem and fascism could be the new law of our land, and they will prove that the Supreme Court has fallen and crumbled like no other institution in these United States of America. We are now less than 7 months from our most important election heretofore in history. So I am now turning my attention to listening to as many positive arguments for the re-election of President Joe Biden as possible, so that I would be better able to meet independents and Republicans with common sense in the middle, because we cannot win this election without them. As an example, I pay close attention to the historian John Meekum. Though a Republican, is fair and sometimes brilliant in his observational conclusions, such as, and I quote, "It is our patriotic duty to vote for Biden because Biden is a patriot, and we must vote for the idealism of a patriot. Because the constitutional order is the moral question and worth defending." He added, "We have made a false equivalence of the far right and far left because of morality." He also reminded his audience that Trump is a nationalist, hardly a patriot. No one could have supported his case better than Biden himself when at the correspondents' dinner over the weekend he said, and I quote, "I'm the oldest man running for re-election, but I'm up against a 6-year-old. And end quote. Go Biden. That's my story for this month, and I'm sticking to it. I would like to lastly give up a heads up, though, on an extremely important local issue that is happening April 30th, that's tonight, at 6:30 to 8 p.m. There will be a Maricopa County Candidates Forum, which will be a virtual 3-part program for the Maricopa County Schools Governing Board candidates, number 1. Number 2, for the Board of Supervisors candidates, and 3, for the Maricopa County General candidates. Now, we've had some of those here, but not all of them yet, and hope to have more as we go along. But this is very important information they will be giving out about themselves. These are such important offices to fill because they affect and impact our lives every day. So we should get to know them and what they stand for so that we can also tell others. How else to better know who we're voting for on that election ballot in front of us, whether we vote for bottoms up or top to bottom, whatever you fancy. I hope you can tell our Blue Tuesday audience on how to sign up for this very important forum tonight, Janie. If you can't, I will say that I did for my LD3, and most of you through your LDs can get on for this sign up for tonight's RSVP. You do have to be signed up to get on the virtual program. So I thank you for caring. And now here's Janie.
Thank you, Linda. And Susie did put the link, the registration link, in chat. So you can
okay.
do that as we
Okay.
speak. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Our first speaker this morning is Ylenia Aguilar, and we have had Ylenia on before. Oops, let me get to the next slide so you can see her. There she is. Ylenia Aguilar was born in Mexico and raised in Arizona and rural Illinois. She has served as a governing board member in the Osborne School District, Vitalist Health Foundation Board of Trustees, and Hispanics Enjoying Camping, Hunting, and Outdoors, or ECHO. Advisory Council. She currently serves as a member of the Central Arizona Water Conservation District on the front lines of water issues facing Arizona. And Blue Tuesday helped her get elected to that. We were proud to do it. She has two sons, with her oldest son attending Northern Arizona University, majoring in environmental sciences and sustainability. Her youngest is a freshman attending the IB program at Phoenix Union and plays for Excel Soccer Academy. Ylenia Aguilar is the business development manager with GYBE, G-Y-B-E, a water analytics company leveraging satellites, sensors, and predictive modeling to help organizations optimize watershed health. GYBE puts the power of precision freshwater intelligence in the hands of managers across the world, working to secure every community's sustainable access to clean, life-giving water. We are proud and delighted to introduce Ylenia Aguilar.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I apologize. I'm at a coffee shop. I'm working, so a lot of us work. I understand that. So I'm here at a coffee shop. So if it's really loud, I apologize for that in advance. So thank you for having me once again, and thank you for your support. As mentioned before, I've been in front of you guys in the past, and you guys were so instrumental in my last election to the Central Arizona Project, which is a board that I continue to be on, and a board that I will be able to continue to be on, because CAP and ACC do not, there's no conflict of interest, so I can serve on both. I don't get paid to serve on CAP, so I can be on ACC. Thank you for the extensive bio. I am honored, to be running for the Arizona Corporation Commission. This last month, it's been 10 years since I became a U.S. citizen. I'm formally undocumented, so it is an honor to be able to serve not only the community that I live in, but the entire state of Arizona, and continue to be the voice. We know that we are currently experiencing so many issues in our state and our country, but more specifically in our state, and the high cost of living expenses, the raising cost of food prices, they're directly impacting every single Arizonan. And now we are exposed to increased prices in our utilities. And our families and our communities shouldn't have to be left with choosing between their prescription medication or their rent, and then their utility, because I have heard through talking to people across Arizona that they're extremely concerned with their utilities. It was hard enough to pay for them last year, and as we continue to experience a hotter and hotter Arizona each year, it's only going to be more expensive, especially with the rates going up for APS. So I want to continue bringing that voice and being the consumer advocate for all Arizonans. I know that this issue impacts every single person in our state, but I would like to focus on the people who are the most vulnerable in our community, which are our children and our elderly. And with rates continuing to go up, we know that this is going to hit them the hardest. Um, One of the main roles that the Arizona Corporation Commission has is to regulate utilities and to set rates. Um, some of the regulating happens to, I'm sorry, the regulating entities are the utilities, which are natural gas, energy, um, railroad telecommunications, and 350 private water companies. You guys know that I serve on CAP, and that's the board that delivers the water from the Colorado River, from Lake Havasu to Tucson. This entity regulates the utility companies to ensure that we have standards that they are meeting, that and they're also like that the water utility companies are not setting rates that are not equitable and that are not too high for our community. So very important responsibilities that this commission has as well. My first exposure to the ACC was when I was 21 and I formed my LLC. I've had my small business since then. So it does have another role. It is the organization that registers small businesses and nonprofits. So those are things that I like to talk about because small businesses are extremely important to Arizona's economy. As a Latina, as a former undocumented person, I can say that small businesses, for many, many dreamers, oh, sorry, is it super loud? I can try going outside. For many communities like of dreamers and immigrants, like small businesses are the only way that we are able to have employment. So a lot of Latinos have small businesses, and I know that based on my personal experience, streamlining the process that we have now is very important in order to get more small business and nonprofits registered. But right now, the priority for everyone in Arizona is our utility rates going up because that is what's directly impacting us and will continue to impact us if we continue to have a commission that does not care about Arizonans and that is not concerned about how their decisions on raising rates continues to impact our most vulnerable community members. And I'm here once again to ask and to earn your support. I truly apologize for the loud noise. I'm back-to-back meetings, so I couldn't make it back home, but I really appreciate being here once again, and I would love your thank you to everyone who helped me qualify for the ballot. We qualified in 47 days thanks to your support. Thanks to everyone who signed the online petition and helped us qualify. I know you will be hearing from Joshua, Jonathan Hill is also running. There are 3 seats, 3 Democrats. We are hoping to earn your support and helping us win this election. And it's so important to the future of our state. And I want, as a mother and as someone who cares about the planet and our environment and our resources, I want to have a planet for my future generations and for all of our generations. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm happy to be back.
And Ylenia, thank you. And I know it's difficult for you broadcasting from a coffee shop. So thank you for doing that for us. And as I said in the introduction, we were so proud and delighted to be able to support you before when you ran for the Water Conservation District. And it's everything in your background, if I can just go off on you for a while here. Your background in water and and governance. So it's not like a newbie stepping into a kind of a commission or group. You have that experience. You know the politics and how to negotiate a smart position on a board. And you have that background in water and other issues that are so important, not just to all of us, but to the Corporation Commission. So we really appreciate your running for this, and we will work hard for your election. If someone, Susie has done a wonderful job of putting in chat how you can go to Ylenia's website. And Joshua, thank you very much. Also put something down for himself. And they were both absolutely correct. They are two of the three incredible candidates that we have for Arizona Corporation Commission. It is so important to get all three of them elected. The difference in the Corporation Commission, in those vital decisions that they will be making, we need those three on the corporation. And reading their bios will just knock your socks off. Mine flew off when I was reading Ylenia's. Wait till I get to Josh and Jonathan too. You'll be blown away. Ylenia, thank you so much for being our guest this morning. If there's anyone who has a specific question for Ylenia, put it in chat and we can forward that to her.
No, I just wanted to say thank you once again, and thank you, Sandy. Sandy has been so instrumental along to everyone else, but like I have spent so much time with Sandy, and I'm just so grateful. Thank you to all of you guys. Like for my first race, I know that I wouldn't be here without your support, and thank you again. That this isn't possible without volunteers like you who make this possible for us, because there's only three of us running for statewide races. We can't get to every home, so we are so grateful. I am so grateful for everyone. Thank you again. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Ylenia. All right, our next speaker, and be ready for this. Joshua Polacheck grew up across the rural West, the son of an immigrant mother and father in the that's East Indian, Health Service. His middle and high school years were spent in Tucson. Then serving almost 20 years as a commissioned Foreign Service officer, he often took dangerous postings. He managed teams analyzing and influencing public opinion in Iraq, Pakistan, Lebanon, India, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, and Zimbabwe, and wrote policy and congressional testimony for the White House and cabinet officials. During that time, his social marketing campaign cut into Pakistani farmers' support for the Afghan insurgency. He worked with the U.S. Special Forces and the Pakistani ad agency in this $5 million two-year effort. He ran the largest foreign cultural center in India, managed a team of 27 with a multi-million-dollar budget. He received 3 meritorious honor awards, an Expeditionary Service Award, and the William R. Rivkin Award for Constructive Dissent. Constructive dissent. I love that. In 2018, Joshua returned home to Arizona to look after his dying widowed father. As a proud husband, father, and son, he saw firsthand the struggles of Arizona families and has been involved in fighting for common sense for the common good ever since. Joshua is running because we need to act now to secure Arizona's future for all our families. And Joshua, it is a delight to have you. Hold on here. Whoops. There we go. And it is to you, sir.
Wonderful. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I apologize for the background noise. I am taking this call outside at a cafe in Tucson because my broadband at home is not working. So first, thank you very much. It's always an honor, but also a challenge to follow Ylenia. She has such an amazing story and is such an inspiring teammate, and I'm so happy to be on the ballot with her. I do want to thank everyone on this call. As I was waiting, I looked up a bunch of folks, and you did sign my equal petition. I really want to thank you for that. I didn't do it in 48 days like Ylenia did. I did it in 53 days, but we still got 100% qualified on equal. We were told over and over again by the establishment and by political operatives that it would be unprecedented to run a statewide race and to get totally qualified in under 2 months with volunteers. I was told I was going to have to spend tens of thousands of dollars getting signatures, and it was an amazing effort, and I really want to thank you. And we have to take that on to the general, because it's not just about getting those 7,000 nominating signatures that we need to get on, but we are really going to be delivering that pocketbook issue to the voters here in Arizona who have been told for the last 8 years that this is the most important election in their lifetime. Yet, because here in Arizona, the Republicans have held on at the local level, we have not been able to deliver for those voters. The cost of living crisis is out of control. There are folks in the state who, thanks to the MAGA majority on the Corporation Commission, are now paying more for their electricity or their water bill than they're paying for their mortgage. There are people in the state who are having to choose between paying their rent, getting their electricity cut off as the summer heat is coming, or paying for essential medication. We've seen what the Republicans want to do to our state over the last 2 weeks, over the last 2 years, over the last 2 decades. They are trying to take us back to a time when we did not have a democracy, we did not have representatives, but we had rulers, where there were people who told us what to do because they thought they were the rightful folks to have power in this state. Whether we're talking about reproductive freedom, where they're trying to take us back to the 1860s, or whether we're talking about our electricity grid, where they're trying to keep us in the 1890s. For the last really 10 years, but very much since for the last 4 years, it has been cheaper in Arizona at the industrial scale to build new clean energy projects. Yet, the Corporation Commission, thanks to their, I don't know, their, what would you call it? Their supporters, their bribe payers, the people that got them into power, the out-of-state fossil fuel interests, they are trying to lock us on to another generation, even 2 generations of addiction to out-of-state fossil fuels in the state. Up in Yavapai, up in Mojave, they were able to get to the Board of Supervisors and prohibit new solar projects at people's houses. And at the same time, they are trying to force the communities there to build new methane-powered 1890s technology, not for the benefit of the community, not even for the benefit of our economy, but purely for the profits of these out-of-state fossil fuel interests. We have an opportunity in November to flip the Corporation Commission. There are 3 seats up on the 5-seat commission. And if Ylenia, Jonathan, and I win, and we make sure that folks vote triple D all the way down, we can reinstitute our policy for energy independence. We can make sure that our utilities are serving the ratepayers and not being forced to service these out-of-state fossil fuel interests. Our platform, our policies will bring back affordable, reliable, and secure energy to our state. And it also happens to be clean, and it also happens to be carbon-free. Now, you're going to hear the Republicans say all sorts of nonsense about how this isn't affordable, this isn't reliable. They were telling lies at the Republican debate that, oh, well, if you just build a bunch of clean energy infrastructure, what happens when the sun goes down and the wind doesn't blow? Well, we have batteries. We've had batteries for 4 years that can run for days. We still are going to have the Palo Verde nuclear power plant to provide baseload security to our grid. And we have seen, whether it is a data center run by Google in Mesa or a propane refinery out in Yuma, industrial customers know what power is going to be more affordable, more reliable, and more secure. And that is a solar storage plant. And that's why you see Google working with SRP to become basically an independent power producer. That's why you see the propane refinery out in Yuma building their own solar storage capacity. We have a stark choice. We can either bring the Texas grid to Arizona, or we can make sure that Arizona becomes the model, not just for the Southwest, not just for the United States, but for the entire world, where we can deliver public services to our citizens in a free market democratic system. Or we can have a bunch of folks peddling conspiracy theories and trying to play politics and culture wars with our essential utilities. So what can y'all do? First and foremost, everybody on this call, I see 33 people on this call that aren't candidates. Please raise your hand if you have already given that $5 to Ylenia and Jonathan to make sure that they qualify for the clean elections money. We need to get that money in their hands as soon as possible. If they do not get that money before the primary happens on July 30th, they have to give back all the unspent money. So please go over to the links that we put in the chat. Go to Aguilar for Arizona.com, and you can give the $5 to her. And after you've done that, you can give the $5 to Jonathan. If possible, you can give up to $210 in seed money to both Ylenia and Jonathan. If that is doable and meaningful to you, please do that. I'm going to be running a traditionally funded campaign because we know that the Republicans are going to be pouring in millions, if not tens of millions of dollars from out-of-state fossil fuels to keep control of the commission. They're going to be attacking us. They're going to be putting out mailers. They're going to be putting out lies on social media. To push back against that, we're going to be needing to raise about as much money as Adrian Fontes or Chris Mays did in 2022. And that's why I'm going to be running a traditionally funded campaign. One of the three of us needed to do it. I drew the short straw. And so we are looking for folks to donate today. I'm going to drop my ActBlue link in the chat. And we're also looking for folks to host either virtual or in-person fundraisers. We need to marshal $3.2 million to fight back against what the Republicans are doing. You've seen what they did with our reproductive freedoms. They want to do the same thing with our utilities. If we're going to be able to fight back, we need to bring a gun to a knife fight, because they're sure as heck going to be trying to bring a gun to a knife fight. Our top Republican opponent, Rachel Walden, was auctioning off a semi-automatic machine gun as a fundraiser during the signature collection time. We know who these people are. They've shown us who they are. We can't let them take over. We have an opportunity to fight back for the everyday people here in Arizona, but we need your help and your resources to do it. So I'm going to drop in my contact information. You can reach me directly on my email if you want to get more involved, either as a volunteer or host as someone who can help us raise the money. I'm also going to be dropping in the ActBlue links. I know it sounds very mercenary, but we have an opportunity in 2024 to show people that Arizona is not a red state with a purple tinge. We are not a purple state with a blue tinge. We are a blue state. We can win back reproductive freedom and our rights with Arizonans for Abortion Access. We can flip our state legislature. We can send 2 true Democrats back to representing Arizona in the US Senate for the first time since 1952. We can flip our congressional delegation so that we have 5 Democrats and 4 Republicans, maybe even 6 Democrats and 3 Republicans. We can flip the Corporation Commission. And with your help, we can keep the White House blue. And so with that, I'm happy to take questions, and I'm so honored to have this opportunity to speak with y'all. And I'd love to meet people in person. I'm based in Tucson, but I'm up in Phoenix at least 2 or 3 times a month. So thank you very much.
Joshua, thank you for all of that. I absolutely just from not knowing you very well in the beginning of your campaign, your background, your skill set is one that will really put you in the front in terms of changing some of those very negative, backward policies that the current Corporation Commission has put in. And you're right, they are MAGA supported, and it sounds mercenary, but we've got to get the 3 of you in there. Nothing's going to change unless we do. And I think that 1864 abortion ban was just the tip of the iceberg. And the Corporation Commission, if it is one of those least known entities that makes a difference in our everyday lives with the money that we spend, with the values that we see reflected in policy. So thank the 3 of you for running. And I really beg anybody who's on the call this morning or this afternoon, if you can go online and please support them financially. We have to get them elected. I do have a question for you. It's hypothetical, but hopefully it will not be hypothetical. It'll be a real question. Knowing all of the actions, the negative actions with a negative impact on Arizona families by the current Corporation Commission, when you are elected, what is the first thing that you will focus on to either change or to become policy?
That's a great question. And I just want to say that we have an opportunity that the Republicans on the commission seem unable to do, which is walking and chewing gum at the same time. You can both make sure that we have railway safety, as we saw up in the I-40, where they are not doing their job with railway safety. That's a core constitutional role of the commission. We can make sure that we have a long-term policy for energy independence in our state. And you can make sure that our ratepayers are protected in their day-to-day rate cases. So from maybe not day 1, because I'm sure there's a bunch of paperwork. I've been a government employee before. I know there's a bunch of paperwork. But from day 2, we can do a review of all the rate cases to make sure, and especially Southwest Gas, which they're basically trying to triple their prices from 5 years ago. We can go through those rate cases and do a review and making sure that they are not ripping off our ratepayers. We can work directly with the utilities that are going to be our partners, like APS and TEP, and make sure that they have a consumer-friendly plan that works towards a clean energy future that's affordable and reliable. And we can do our other constitutional duties at the same time. But all of that aside, I will tell you, and I will take this oath right here, right now, if we have a rate case in front of us, I promise you, and you can hold me to this promise, I will actually read the damn rate case before I vote on it. Unlike Commissioner O'Connor, who said the quiet part out loud when they passed the APS rate case that tried to zero out the solar buyback, that raised rates 10% on our schools and small businesses. And the Monday after he voted for the rate case, when a reporter asked him, hey, what about this provision in the case? He said, oh, I didn't even bother reading it because I knew I was going to vote for it. So I promise you, we will do the homework. We will do the damn job even if we have to make some of those hard decisions. These are not going to be easy decisions. We have to balance making sure that our electricity is both affordable and reliable. We have to make sure that we have a clear strategic plan, and on the short term, we are delivering for our citizens and our ratepayers. But I'm going to do the job. I know Ylenia is going to do the job. I know Jonathan's going to do the job. We are going to work our tails off for the citizens of this state.
Thanks again, Joshua. And yes, and we know from, I mean, you're extraordinary, and I don't know any better word to use. Your extraordinary resumes and backgrounds, all three of you. You will not be puppets like the MAGA commissioners now. You will do whatever it takes to manifest our values, excuse me, into a corporation policy. So thank you again for being our guest. Ylenia, thank you again for everything that you do.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to
Thank
drop
you.
I'm going to drop the links in for Ylenia and I again, so they're at the very the top of the chat. Thank you
Okay,
so much for
thanks a
having
lot.
me. And I just want to tell you, I did not serve and put my life on the line in Iraq and Lebanon and other places to see this nonsense take over in my home state. There are more of us than there are of them, and we will fight back and show the folks who needs to be in charge in this state. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joshua. Our next guest, Bree Thomas, is another extraordinary individual. Her 30-year career focusing on women's health and policy began with electoral campaigns in Arizona against the ballot initiative in 1992 that would have banned abortions in Arizona, Alabama, and New Jersey, followed by employment at the Arizona House of Representatives for the minority leader. As Director of Public Affairs for Arizona Planned Parenthood, Bree was instrumental in the successful passage of equity in prescription drug coverage legislation. Former Arizona Governor Janet Napolitano recruited her to serve as her women's health policy advisor, leading a commission dedicated to the health status of women in Arizona. Bree subsequently worked at state agencies, including the Arizona Department of Economic Security and the Arizona Department of Health Services, before her selection in 2012 as CEO of the Affirm Sexual and Reproduction Health, Affirm, the Title X grantee in Arizona. Bree served on the board of directors for Affirm for 6 years before her role as CEO. She earned both an undergraduate degree in political science and a master's degree in public education from Arizona State University. She and her husband own a golf and pickleball business in Arizona, enjoy the great outdoors, and love visiting their college-age daughter at Lewis and Clark College. Now, Bree wrote Go Pios. She'll have to explain what that is. But I do have a website for you to go to. It's called reproductivehealth.az.gov. The introductory screen has a message from Governor Katie Hobbs and one from Attorney General Chris Mays. And this website will provide Arizona women with critical reproductive health care information and resources in the wake of the 1864 near total abortion ban. And as I said before, that health ban, regardless of what the state legislature does now in terms of wanting to repeal it, it will definitely go into effect on June 25th, and it will negatively impact any women who are pregnant or who are looking to become pregnant or not become pregnant. Bree, it's our honor to have you with us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Make sure I was off of mute. Thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me to your luncheon today. I look forward to connecting with all of you and learning a little bit more about questions you may have. So I'm going to kind of divide this into two sections. The first section is about Affirm Sexual and Reproductive Healthcare, which is a 50-year-old nonprofit. We're 50 years old this year. And we compete for and have been awarded the Title X, which is the nation's family planning grant, since 1983. And in that role, we receive $6.1 million a year that we then push out to community clinics, community health centers across the state, Planned Parenthood and Flagstaff, and then 2 county health departments, so in Pima and Pinal County. So we have 50 plus clinics, 10 plus delegates, and we are in 11 of the 15 counties in Arizona. So Affirm is really an expert in sexual and reproductive health care. We, Title X mandates that we have all FDA approved birth control methods. So pill, patch, ring, IUDs, the whole gamut of sexual and reproductive health care. We do STI testing and treatment, breast cancer, screening, breast exam, sorry. And then also pap smears for cervical cancer. We work with our delegate agencies to provide high quality confidential services on a sliding fee scale, meaning at low or no cost for folks. The paperwork isn't necessarily, you don't need to bring in your income paperwork. You can say you need a confidential service, you'll get access to it. And so the folks that might not otherwise have access to birth control can get access through Title X throughout the state. And we are a staff of about 13. Two of those people work on adolescent healthcare. So there's pretty much a dearth of folks concentrating on adolescents and their healthcare. And it's not just sexual and reproductive healthcare, it's mental health, it's well visits, it's vaccinations, it's all of the things that would help adolescents lead a healthy life. And oftentimes people find their only healthcare at a Title X clinic, so around sexual and reproductive health care. So we provide a great deal of resources to well over 30,000 folks every year in Arizona. So Affirm does that work separate and apart from the ballot initiative, but our board of directors was a founding member of the initiative before it became a political campaign, when we were doing research on what the voters would actually pass and what the voters actually wanted to see on the ballot. And so up until August of last year, so October through August, Affirm was in support of and a founding member, of the ballot initiative with other reproductive health rights and organizations. And so Planned Parenthood, the ACLU, Arizona List, Affirm, and Reproductive Freedom for All, which is formerly NARAL, are the 5 founding members of the work that was done towards the initiative. We've now added Healthcare Rising and look to add a couple more folks to the executive steering committee. But once it became a political entity, I, in my own capacity, serve on the executive committee. So I am not there as a firm. I'm there as a reproductive health expert in my 30 years experience in Arizona. So we have worked really hard, as you can imagine, to garner at this point well over 500,000 signatures and raised probably around $13 or $14 million to do this work on the ballot initiative. Our goal is to submit double what is needed. So 384,000 signatures are needed. So our goal is to submit double that to the Secretary of State towards the end of June. The deadline is July 3rd. And so right now, our main goal is to continue gathering signatures, gathering endorsements from folks, and raising money. And then once we are cleared to be on the ballot, we'll shift into campaign mode, and you'll see probably a little more of the typical campaign messages and volunteer activities that will occur probably from July through November. So I see there's some comments in here, both about the governor's office and her reproductive health az.gov. So the governor has an advisory committee that is made up of reproductive health experts. And I serve as the convening leader of that group for the governor. And we have over the last 18, well, not quite 18 months, but since her inauguration, worked pretty closely with her to talk about issues that are affecting folks with regards to their reproductive health care. So one of the first things she did was make sure that the rules were written to be able to have pharmacists dispense birth control. So somebody, if they're trained and if they're willing to do it, you can go to a pharmacist and they will dispense birth control for you, hormonal contraception. So the birth control pill. That has not had a large uptick in Arizona, so we're gonna work on that. We've also, as you probably saw last summer, there was an executive order about protecting folks that may travel or may come or may access birth or abortion care outside of the state, and there will be no prosecution of those folks. And then once the 1864 ban came into effect, you saw the governor and Chris Mays come together to create that website so that we can keep folks up to date on what is happening and when abortion care may no longer exist in Arizona while we wait for the ballot initiative. So that's a little bit about that website and how it came together. It'll talk about birth control methods. Is it English? It's in Spanish. And there are some other opportunities I think that the governor has to help increase access to contraception. And then lastly, about the 1864 ban. So as you all know, that went into effect almost 3 weeks ago. When the Supreme Court ruled that, well, the law became the law in Arizona about 3 weeks ago, when the Supreme Court ruled that that was the rule that would take precedent over the 15-week abortion ban in Arizona. So we have worked, we being the reproductive health community, together to help educate folks and talk to folks about the repeal of the 1864 law. And so the House of Representatives last week passed that bill with 32 votes, 31 votes. Can't remember, sorry. We got done and we got grass from the Republican side to vote to repeal the 1864 law. It now goes to the Senate, and the Senate will need to repeal it, and then they'll switch it with the House bill so that it can go directly to the governor for her signature if it's a straight repeal, I would say. It will not go into effect until 90 days after session ends. So we don't know when they will actually end. They are well past their 100 days and they don't seem to have any sense of when they will end. They need to pass a budget and they need to do a few other things. And so once they are able to do that, they will sign a die and then the rule will go into effect. And so as you heard, the Attorney General is now estimating that the day that abortion care will be illegal in Arizona is now, is it June 23rd or June 25th? I'm sorry, I think it's the 23rd. And so we will actually have no abortion care in the state until we pass this initiative or it's 90 days past session. So once we repeal the 1864 law, we'll go back to the 15-week ban that Ducey signed into law. That ban has no exceptions for rape or incest and is only to save the life of the mother. The ballot initiative is broader. It centers it more like Roe around viability. And then it also allows a physician or a provider and the patient to decide post viability the best course of action for them in terms of abortion care. So it's been a pretty wild ride. I don't know that I expected all of this to happen, but it's not surprising, I guess is what I would say. It's just been pretty busy. So I've talked a lot, I've said a lot of things, and I'm sure you all have a bunch of questions. I'm happy to answer any and all of them, and I'll take a quick look in the chat and make sure I addressed what was going on over there as well. Do you have any questions for me?
Bree, this is Janie.
Yeah.
There are some overlapping dates and this initiative and that bill and so forth.
Yeah.
For a pregnant woman now who has a need and has to make the decision for an abortion, what is her option now?
So if she is under 15 weeks pregnant, she can have an abortion in Arizona, probably at a location in Flagstaff is offering medical abortions at the Planned Parenthood Clinic. There's also a Planned Parenthood clinic in Tucson. I think there might be a private provider down there, and then there's a Planned Parenthood here and several private providers in Maricopa County. So they would be able to access abortion care under 15 weeks in Arizona. After 15 weeks, that would require a person to go outside of the state. And then once the 1864 ban comes into effect, the only way a person could have an abortion in Arizona is to save their life. I think what they're talking about is, what does that mean? Does that mean you have to bleed out to what percentage? Which organs need to fail? How sick do you need to be? This is where you're going to have lawyers and medical physicians making decisions, which I never think is a good idea. And so after June 23rd, it may go back to, unless there's another stay or another issue with the courts, it'll go to the 1864 law.
I find that absolutely terrifying that I mean, at first blush you think, oh, the life of the mother, that's cut, that's a clear cut, but no, it's lawyers and judges that will decide how much the mother has to bleed out or what organs have to shut down before she can have an abortion to save her life. That's absolutely wrong, that there are people who are not the mother, the father, or the doctor making that decision, and that women's lives will be in the balance based on whatever court decision is made.
So that's true, and I think what, is interesting as well, I had a pregnancy prior to my daughter that was born in 2003, and then in 2002 I had a miscarriage, and I was able to go to the physician and talk to the physician, and we could decide together how we wanted to and it wasn't really even a pregnancy. There wasn't a heartbeat, there was cells. And so I could decide, did I want to go home and just let it happen naturally? Did I want to have a procedure? And now women are able to also choose if they wanted to have a medical procedure or medical abortion. And so, like I was saying I had the pleasure of talking to Senator Bennett and Senator Shope last week about, this care wouldn't even be available to folks under the 1864 ban. People would not be able to access a D&C / which is also an abortion for miscarriage management. That's not even going to be an option under the 1864 ban, let alone somebody that has a fetal anomaly at 20 weeks, when that's when you figure out via testing that you would have a fetal anomaly. So yeah, it is truly frightening and scary if you think of anybody in your circle that may or may be able to become pregnant. Yes, and I saw a question here about IVF, and I don't know. Well, at this point, they haven't started attacking IVF. There is the fetal personhood law that is currently with the courts, and that could absolutely change when that ruling comes down, that IVF may also be in danger moving forward. When that's a separate court case, so that's a different piece. So yeah, there's currently 40 restrictions on the books around abortion. So that means you have to wait 24 hours. There's no medical reason to wait 24 hours. There's a mandate that you have a transvaginal ultrasound. There's no medical reason to have a vaginal ultrasound, but they have it in law. They have to tell you things like, in my case, they would have to have told me, if you would like adoption, there is an option for you to do it. Well, there was nothing to adopt. This thing didn't even, it had cells, that's all it was. But there's mandated scripts that these physicians have to talk about. So over the course of, I would say, since about the first real abortion legislation was in 1997. It was called Clinic Regulations. And then once Brewer in 2009 became governor, that's when, like, not 39 of them, but the bulk of that 41 became laws in Arizona. And there's just law after law after law. You have to have your hallways have to be so wide. You have to do a variety of things in terms of the setting that you can provide abortion care. So I see something else over here. Let me look.
Bree, before you answer another question, I just wanted to share, even in the darkest moments, sometimes there's a little light. I read again a case in Alabama of a woman who was pregnant, and she was driving in the high occupancy vehicle lane. And of course, she was stopped, and it would have been like a $600 fine. And she said, "But I'm pregnant." And now the state law says that's a person. So I don't know how that was resolved, but it just is an example of it. So when we look at something, when I look at something, I consider myself fairly intelligent, but there's so many hidden aspects and consequences to that, to anything that we have in policy or law. So another reason that I'm glad you're here today. So yes, there are some interesting comments and questions in chat.
So I don't know if there are providers that are willing to provide the care to trigger litigation. It is up to 2 years in prison, and so I don't know who is interested in doing that. I do know that there may be providers that would be willing to go to Nevada or California and be able to provide care there. So that is some things that would be willing to happen. I think if the providers weren't risking, their life and livelihood, they might do it, but it's too dangerous, I would say. But we'll see what happens around that. And then fetal heartbeat, I believe that definition is a heart is an organ that pumps blood through the body, having members in those cells. Yeah, well, fetal heartbeat is baloney, as well as like partial birth abortion. It's not a thing. It's a made up name that people created on the other side around late term abortion, which typically only happens to save the life of a mother or the fetus. And so that doesn't really happen. So and I'm not sure that, all I know is the court has the fetal personhood referral. So I know it's been heard in, I think it was the Ninth Circuit. And so I think we're just waiting on that ruling. Any other questions from folks?
Josh has another question in chat. What's the status of the fetal personhood referral from the state legislature?
Yeah, that's the one I just talked about. I think it's still in the Ninth Circuit. We haven't
Okay.
heard a ruling on that one.
All right.
Yeah.
Any more questions or comments for Bree? This has been incredibly enlightening, and it certainly underscores the desperate need that we have for passing the Arizona Abortion Access Act. If you've been under a rock and have not been able to sign that petition, please contact your local legislative district, contact the Maricopa County Democratic Party, the Arizona Democratic Party. If you want to, you can put a message in our Facebook, Blue Tuesday Luncheon Forum, and we will connect you with someone who can get a petition to you so that you can sign. Every signature is very, very important. Thank you again.
Yeah. I think Myra, did you have a question?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Clarence Thomas read why he struck down Wade, Roe versus Wade. It was a Christian ideology. Jewish people do not believe that there is life before the child, the fetus or whatever, comes out of the womb and takes the breath of God. That's the Jewish idea. I have not seen too many legislators say that to anybody. That's strictly a Christian philosophy that Clarence Thomas put forth. That's my comment.
Yeah. And I think, you know, there was a court case somewhere in the Midwest about the Jewish faith being compromised because this is a Christian value, not a Jewish value. And so I think that they also are, you know, folks are looking at that as some potential litigation strategies as well. Like the National Council of Jewish Women, I know have done some of the work around that as well. So yes. I know I see the other referrals, there's no the legislature can refer to the ballot both law changes as well as a constitutional change. There was a leaked document that I'm sure you've all seen and heard about that they were talking about how they might confuse the voters. We're calling it a scam, not a plan. And because it really isn't about how we can make Arizona better, or how we can support folks in this environment. It's really about how we can confuse voters and make sure that they don't, in their minds, vote for the Arizona for Abortion Access Initiative. We haven't seen any language yet. So I don't know what they're referring to the ballot. I don't know that they, as of yet, have the votes, which is why we haven't seen the language. We won't probably see that language until they have the votes, and then they'll move really quickly. So we'll need to pay attention to that part. I carry a petition. Somebody direct messaged me that she carries a petition, Sandra, but it was a direct message to me. So if you want to reach out to Sandra, you can connect with her. And Sandra also answered the Yavapai County. Somebody else Sandra has collected 600 signatures. That's amazing. And Joshua said the Indiana Supreme Court under the state religious freedom law. So RFRA, yeah, the Indiana Supreme Court is carving out exceptions to their abortion ban. So it was in Indiana that did the religious carve out, or they were trying to do that. I don't know if Arizona has a religious freedom law. I know that Sivia Tamarkin with the National Council of Jewish Women was looking at that, so she might have a better answer than I do. Anything else you guys have for me? Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate it, and I look forward to voting for you as well. I'm on my lunch hour, so
We all do, don't we?
Thank you, Bree. That was amazing. Linda here. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad to be of help, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm going to
Well,
put my.
I think
Go ahead.
all of us share the value of a woman's right to
Yes.
reproductive health. Many of us signed the Arizona Abortion Access Act as a representative of our value for women to be able to have that choice. I had no idea of all the negative consequences, the intricacies of the 1864 ban, and you know, its progress through the state legislature and what can be done. So you've certainly added a profound depth to our understanding of the issue. And we thank you so much. And
It will
Ylenia,
get more complicated before it's over. I'm just
Oh.
warning you. So if you have
Well-
questions, let us know, and that's their goal.
well, you know, we can always have you back
Yep, you
to
can.
clarify those consequences for us.
Anytime I'm able and willing. I appreciate all of you, and I know you're working really hard to gather signatures, so thank you.
And that the website is going to be wonderful. We will
Yeah.
put that on Facebook so that people have that again to go to. And Josh and Ylenia, thank you so much. We will work hard to get the three of you elected. Hopefully Jonathan will be here next month. And a special thanks to all of our participants this morning who
Yeah.
were with us. I think I can get that. Yeah, whoopsie. Let me go back here. Here's the slide that has reproductivehealth.az.gov, or you can go to Affirm, AFFIRM. If you just Google that, you can get to the website and find out where you can get questions answered from there. So please do take advantage of that. And again, if you have any questions on the shenanigans down at the state legislature, what you can do if you have 5 minutes, if you have 20 minutes, if you have 30 minutes, if you want to speak, if you want to write, if you want to email, all of those opportunities are available to you as well as the background of every one of those bills. So go to Civic Engagement Beyond Voting, or cebv.us. We promote that every week because it's a way to stay involved. And make sure that you share the Blue Tuesday Forum. And the only way that you can get information and recommend us is to have people go to bluetuesdayluncheon@gmail.com. And we have a staff of at least one who will respond and get you on the mailing list. And again, it's not March 26th. Sorry about that. It's May 28th. It's always the last Tuesday in the month when we have Blue Tuesday. And next month, we have a 1 in 10, which is the Supreme LGBT source and website resource and support for that community. Tamika Wooten is going to be our county attorney, and Greg Freeman, our county assessor. So please join us then. And again, thank you very much for being our guests today.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, thank you. Everyone have a great month, a productive month.